Hello everyone, good evening and welcome to show number 39 of my favorite singer-songwriters, and tonight I'm doing Odetta. She was called the voice of the civil rights movement, and I was lucky enough to hear her perform here in Madison at the Barrymore Theater back in, 1989, so yeah. First one I'm going to do is called Oh Freedom, and this is one we did down at the Solidarity Sing-Along for many years, 8-9 years when Scott Walker was decimating our state. So great old freedom song that Odetta performed this in 1963 at the March on Washington, so I'm honored to do my version, and I hope you sing along. So freedom, oh freedom, oh freedom over me. And before I be a slave, I be buried in my grave. We'll all fight for freedom till we're free. Oh freedom, oh freedom, oh freedom over me. And before I be a slave, I'll be buried in my grave. And we'll all fight for freedom till be free. There'll be justice, there'll be justice, there'll be justice over me. And before I be a slave, I'll be buried in my grave. We'll all fight for freedom till we're free. They'll be singing, they'll be singing, they'll be singing over me. And before I be a slave, I'll be buried in my grave. We'll all fight for freedom till we're free. Freedom! Oh, freedom, oh, freedom, oh, freedom over me. And before I be a slave, I'll be buried in my grave. We'll all fight for freedom till we're free. There'll be justice and freedom, oh, Black Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter over me. And before I be a slave, I'll be buried in my grave. We'll all fight for freedom till we're free. Oh, freedom! Oh, freedom! Oh, freedom, oh, freedom over me. And before I be a slave, I'll be buried in my grave. We'll all fight for freedom till we're free. And we'll all fight for freedom till we're free. Odetta Holmes, born in Alabama, Montgomery, Alabama, in 1930 and lived till 2008. She lived just long enough to see President Obama elected to the highest office of the land. She has been called the voice of the civil rights movement. I was lucky enough to see her at the Barrymore Theater on, let's see, February 4th, 1989. Wonderful show. Just awesome to see her and see her do all the wonderful songs that she does. The one thing that stands out to me in my memory is I remember her coming up on stage, sitting down with her guitar, and then she took a stick of incense and she basically put it into the, between the strings on the neck of her guitar, lit the incense, and then proceeded to do the show. So she wanted to kind of create an atmosphere, a feeling, a spirituality for her performance, and it was amazing because there's no smoking allowed in the theater, but nobody was going to tell Odetta that she couldn't light some incense and do her show. So it just made me feel like this woman, she's got power. She was a huge influence on Bob Dylan, on Joan Baez, on many people. They will talk about how her interpretation of folk songs and traditional music really just set them on their path. So, all right, this next one is a very sad song, a very old song. It's called Motherless Child, or Sometimes I Feel Like a Motherless Child. So sing it with me and just kind of take a moment to feel this sadness. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. A long way from home, a long way from home. Sometimes I feel like I've never been born. Sometimes I feel like I've never been born. Sometimes I feel like I've never been born. A long way from home, a long way from home. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. Sometimes I feel like a motherless I was always amazed by the way Odetta could take a song and sing it at half, a quarter, I don't know, the speed that I was used to singing it. So she was just able to slow it down and draw it out and make it into this amazing performance of humanity. And I can never do what she did. It's amazing. But I gave it a try to sing it 10 times slower than it is in my head. So, great musician, great performer, great interpreter of songs, Odetta. I got one more song, This Little Light of Mine. You all know it. I hope you're going to sing along. It's a song of inspiration and hope and love and humanity. And I read a story about her. She, like I said, she had performed in Washington, D.C. in 1963 with Martin Luther King at the March on Washington. She was called the voice of the Civil Rights Movement. Martin Luther King called her the Queen of Folk Music, which is a great tribute. And in 2008, in November, of course, Obama won the election, and we knew that we'd have the first black president. She was invited to perform at the inauguration in January. And unfortunately, she was sick. She had heart disease. She was suffering, and she passed away in December, knowing that she was invited to play, but never actually got to do it, and that just breaks my heart. So. All right, This Little Light of Mine, sing it with me. Gonna throw in a whole bunch of who knows what verses. One that Odetta sang, which seems very appropriate for the pandemic, is All in My Room. I'm gonna let it shine. And I'm like thinking, yeah, that's what we are. We're all stuck in our room. So here we go. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Everywhere I go, everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, oh, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. All in my room, all in my room, oh, I'm gonna let it shine. All in my room, oh, I'm gonna let it shine. All up in my room, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. This little light of mine, oh, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. This little boat of mine, well, I'm gonna let it shine. Remember, this little boat of mine, yeah, I'm gonna let it shine. This little boat of mine, oh, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. One more time. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. All right, the wonderful, the late Odetta, great folk singer, interpreter of songs, queen of the civil rights movement, and lucky enough to see her in person. Who's up next? It's Peter, Paul, and Mary. All right, I know I'm going to do Puff the Magic Dragon, and If I Had a Hammer, and I'm not quite sure what the last song is going to be. Their only #1 hit was John Denver's Leavin' on a Jet Plane, but there's so many other great songs that they did, and I just haven't quite decided yet. So that'll be coming up, let's see, on Monday evening. Peter, Paul, and Mary, hope you can join me. Thanks for listening. I love you all, and thank you, Odetta. So